Welcome to Losing a Child, Always Andy's Mom. On this podcast, we journey through the devastating experience of the death of a child. Grief is seldom discussed openly in our culture, and the death of a child makes people feel even more uncomfortable. We approach the topic openly and honestly, speaking to people who have lost loved ones and experts who help care for them. Whether you are a parent experiencing loss or someone who wants to support another going through this tragedy, this podcast strives to offer hope and help.
Welcome to episode number 355 of Losing a Child, Always Andy's Mom. I'm Marcy Larson, Andy's mom. Well, this is an episode with Gwen, and usually this means that it's a recording of the live stream that we did, but you will hear that we did not do it as a live stream. We had a lot of stuff going on in family and had to make that change and just do it recorded, so I'll go into that. But I do want to touch on the fact that this week's episode is sponsored in memory of Caleb by Caleb's mom, Chrissy. So you know Chrissy's been on the podcast a few times now. She's going to be on the podcast again, and I'm going to talk about that towards the end as well. But this would have been Caleb's birthday this week, and so she wanted to sponsor an episode in memory of him. So just this last week, my video person, Lauren, had a great idea. She had an idea that with our sponsors for episodes, perhaps we should try to make a little video of some things they might want to say, some pictures of the sponsor, and put that on social media during the week of the episode's release. So not just the videos of who we're talking about, but maybe additional ones if we happen to have a sponsor for that week. So this is going to be our first try at that. So look for that later in the week. We will get that. And that's, in fact, probably going to be our only social media post this week, because since Gwen and I did not do this live, I don't have like a video version to be able to do video clips. So it's going to be a little bit different that way. But you get to see a little video of Caleb. So watch for that in the coming days. If you would like to sponsor an episode of the Always Andy's podcast, please go to my website, andysmom.com. I have been having some website trouble again. So if a certain browser doesn't work, try a different browser. I promise you we are not a dangerous website, but for some reason, certain browsers seem to think we are, because of problems that we had years and years and years ago. So hopefully we can get those rectified. But if not, you can always go to givebutter.com too. You can email me because you can donate through Venmo. And if you have trouble, please let me know, because I really can only fix it if we can show the video person or my website guy what's happening and what's going wrong. So if you have trouble, please let me know about that. Right now, though, I just want you to sit back and enjoy listening to Gwen and I talk about going back to work. Well, thank you so much, Gwen, for doing the podcast a little bit differently this week. So
we can go with the flow.
Yeah, we just had to go with the flow. You're right. So to all of you who might have been expecting us to do a live stream this week, that's what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a live stream. And then we were supposed to have people come on, and we're talking about work and all of this. And I called Gwen last week, Thursday, actually. It was on Thursday. It was on the day of the release. I had just put it out, and it said we were going to do a live stream. I think I accidentally didn't do a date and time, which maybe was God on purpose.
Yeah.
Not having me giving me a date and time, because it was supposed to be Sunday. We were switching from Mondays to Sundays, and we had picked out a date and time. I just hadn't done it. But then what's kind of interesting timing is I find out that afternoon, right after release, that Eric's mom was being put on hospice, and she's been, suffering from Alzheimer's for a while. We did put her in an assisted living place 4 weeks ago, but honestly, the thought was she would be there for months, and then just really suddenly Thursday took a turn.
Mhm.
And I just said to Gwen, I called her up and I said, I don't think I can do this live stream next week. I think Eric's mom is going to die, and and this is our first family death since Andy.
Mm.
And and all the listeners know my own mom died when I was 21 years old. So Eric's mom has been like my mom
Yeah.
for the last 31 years. So I just I just didn't know what was happening, and I didn't think we could just do it. And then Gwen, then you disclosed something to me.
Yeah. Yeah. My mom is also in hospice. She went in June 1st, and then we had um, a few rough weeks and really thought the end was nearing, but we're in a little honeymoon period. She's stable right now. Not probably going to be getting better, but she's not actively dying. So it's just my life's been like, can I plan that? Can I do this? What's going to
Yeah.
happen? And I live, a few states away, so it's not just something I can get in the car and go. And so I wasn't sure what was going to be happening on our end, but
So it was honestly, it was almost a little bit of a relief to you to know that we didn't, have to schedule this,
hmm
and that you would abruptly have to cancel, or
right.
something had to
Yeah.
happen.
Just
Instead, we could just play it by ear. And I said to Lauren, who helps me do my social media, I said, just put out the questions like normal, just say we're not doing it as a live stream. And then Gwen and I will just find a time that it works out. And I think that ended up being for the best, right?
right. And when we're recording this, you just messaged me a few hours ago and said, "What do you got?" And I'm like, "Okay, let's fit this
Yeah,
in." So
I
it
know.
worked for
I know
both
I
of us.
did. I was this
hmm
afternoon, and all of a sudden I'm like, what are you doing tonight? Maybe we can just do this
hmm
tonight. Um, yeah, I mean, just to say, I don't know if I said this because my mind is sort of mush
hmm
right now, but Eric's mom did pass away that Saturday in the early
Yeah.
hours in the morning. But we were all able to get there and say goodbye,
Yeah.
and I actually had like 2.5 or 3 hours that I spent with her myself,
hmm
which was really nice and important for me.
Yes, I'm so
Yeah.
glad you had that. I knew that day, and I just prayed like, "Oh Lord, help her live till Marcy can get there," because I know
Right,
that was
because
really, really hard for you.
it was really hard for me, but I knew Eric had to get there. And so when we
hmm
got that call in the afternoon saying, soon can you be here? We think it's close.
hmm
I got the kids in the car because I had, when this all happened Thursday night, I got my daughter to come home. Like, no one's going to
hmm
be not sleeping at home if
hmm
grandma's dying. And but suddenly we get this, and my husband is finishing up in the OR, and I just send him a message like, I am bringing the kids to you, and you are going up. And I had to stay for some responsibilities that I haven't really been able to share on the podcast, but
hmm
I had to stay until like 5 o'clock, and then I could go up, and because in my mind it was just more important for Eric and the kids to get there. But I remember saying to you, like, I really want to get there.
I know.
I really wanted to get there.
Yeah.
And I got up there around 7:30, 7:45, and then Eric said, and she was at the end of life, so breathing was irregular and hard to hear. And so he said, well, you can stay here a few minutes. When you're ready, we're all ready to go. And I just looked at him and I said, well, I'm not going. like
hmm
like my father-in-law hadn't eaten dinner.
hmm
You all go,
hmm
I'm staying. Like,
Right.
this is this, and it was important for me. I mean, it was
Um,
important for me to thank her for being the only grandma my kids ever had,
Yeah.
um and a great fill-in mother for me. And,
Mm,
some of those things I wasn't able to say in those last years when her dementia got worse that
right.
I could say now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And, tell her to give Andy a hug for me. And,
Mm,
I said, today is a sad day for all of us, but you've got one happy, excited grandson waiting for you. So,
yeah.
so anyway,
Hmm.
and what was nice is the last thing I said to her was I said, give Andy a hug for me, and I will see you someday in heaven.
Hmm.
And gave her a little kiss and left late at night. And I don't know if the nurses talked to her afterwards. Someone's coming in and out of a room, but I like to think maybe that's the last thing she heard
Right.
before
Yeah.
she died. So,
Yeah.
but
Well,
anyway, it changed obviously what we were doing
hmm
here with the podcast. And in some ways you brought up to me, it was a little fitting in some ways, right?
hmm
Because the podcast was on work and doing work. And although my job, my real job that I
right.
make money on
Right.
is being a pediatrician, this is kind of a job for me too,
It's
with
responsibility.
responsibilities and planning. And this was us having to discuss,
Hmm
what can I do? What can I not do? What can you do? What can you not do?
hmm
And us just putting this aside for a bit and saying, if I've got time, we'll put something together, just the two of us, not doing it with
hmm
a big live stream, not going to get the video clips out this week, not going to do some of the things that we normally do. Um, but do it a little kind of subdued. And
Yeah.
I think, and anyway, it's kind of was a good topic for what was ended up going on.
Yeah. Like, because you were in that, what can I handle this week and what can't I? And for me, I've had to fully disclose to clients as I'm making appointments, like, I'm planning this, but my world could change and I have to go. Um, I have to say something though, back to a little bit about when you were saying at that chance with your mother-in-law to have a time with her, because I live far from my mom. When I talk to her every day, but we've known this was coming, so we've said everything we need to say, and she feels good about that. She always says, I have no regrets. I don't have any air to clear. Well, in her confusion, she's getting a little confused about that. So tonight on the phone, she said to me, we have a lot of fences up, and we have to deal with those fences. And she was trying to say, like, that the air is clear, but she said the complete opposite. So it was kind of funny that she was, getting confused about that she really does have no fences up, and that everything, everyone loves her. She loves them. She's not in a fight with anybody, those kinds of things. But tonight she was saying, we have a lot of fences up. So we were trying to clarify that. But just the flexibility. And the other part, Marcy, that I learned in all of this and reading all the comments from people is that they really do care about you. And I know they care about me too, but they're very connected to you. And they would completely and totally understand. And that's the part that I think I want to tell you. And I do, in our private conversations, and, back in February when you needed just a break to tend to some things, that people will give you grace and understand that. And you can take a break, and it will all work out. And it does.
Yeah, and it does. And it does.
Yeah.
And so, what we did is, again, I said I had Lauren post a couple questions up there. I think you had three, and I think maybe she
I
only
do.
posted two.
I don't know.
Um, I don't know. Maybe there was a third that I didn't see. But did she post them all?
She
Maybe she
must have,
did.
because I think
Okay, you
one of
got
our
you got
person,
'em all.
no, one of our person responded. One of our moms responded to all three, so they
Oh,
must have
that's
been
the
out
one
there.
email one though?
Yes.
Because I sent those out all three. I
Oh,
sent out
okay.
all
So,
three, but I don't know that people on Facebook saw all
okay.
three.
Well, we'll
But
talk
so
about them.
what I did is I am in a couple of little group texts with some
Hmm
friends and some people that have been in Starlight groups with me. And so I sent those all out thinking, if nobody responds on Facebook, I've kind of got some a little bit of backup stuff to do. And I
Mhm.
just really did not have any idea when we were going to record this.
Right.
So thought, let's just get a few things. But it turns out we had some nice responses from
You
Facebook.
did.
So I do want to make sure we spend time talking about this. But I feel like there were some major themes that kind of came up once I put everything
Mhm.
together. So let's go through those questions that you posed and kind of talk about them. And I'm going to put in some personal things with me
Okay.
too. And yeah, I think there's some good discussion points here.
I think so too. The first one was, what tips would you share about going back to work? And I know the first one that I saw came from Dana, and she had a great suggestion about having help with the paperwork for the FMLA, because many people do look at their life and go, I can't go back to work. And what are my options? And how do I figure
Yes.
this all out? And I thought that was a really good tip to say, let someone help you with this.
Yeah. Definitely.
Hmm.
100%. Yeah, um I, I- okay, I'm gonna have you read that question one more time. I'm sorry, my
Okay.
brain is really
No,
kind of
that's
a little
okay.
bit. Okay.
What tips would you share about going back to work? So while you're
Okay.
looking for some tips, one
I've
of them.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say what the Archie wrote with this one. To help with the transition back to work, I told my boss I could come back part-time and I didn't want to lead big projects. I didn't want to be around a lot of people that kept me on projects within my own department. Everybody knew about what happened since I'd been working there for 15 years. So I like this comment, especially
Hmm.
because it's her tip really is you don't have to go back in the same capacity as you left.
Right.
Things can change and look
Mhm.
different, you know?
And taking a step back and setting the boundaries to say, this is what I can handle, this is what I can't. And there are some, and we will talk about them, a few people, their supervisors were not supportive. And,
Yes.
but they can handle what they know. And I think when they can clearly hear you say, this is what I can do and can't do, that sometimes I think is easier than just trying to figure that out, or maybe not communicating, and then you're struggling trying to do things that are outside of what you can handle right then. So I love the open communication about that.
Yeah, and then another one we had from Chrissy, and I know I stated this now in the introduction, but Chrissy's son Caleb, it's his birthday the day after we record this, 2 days
Mm-hmm.
before this comes out, and so because of that, Chrissy really wanted to sponsor this week's episode.
Mm-hmm.
So this episode is the one sponsored for Caleb. And like I said, I know I just said that in the introduction, but just to mention that again, this is the Chrissy. So she had a tip for going to work. She took FMLA for 8 weeks and then went back to work part-time until she's ready for full-time. And then again, made a strong communication with the supervisor and coworkers that so she could step away anytime she needed to. She'd go to the bathroom, she'd cry, she'd go to the car
Mm-hmm.
and cry. She was really, really clear as to this is what I can do and this is what I can't
Mm-hmm.
do. So I think that is a theme that I really kind of saw throughout.
Oh, very much so. We do have to pace ourselves. We can't force ourselves to do something. We have to take small steps, right? Sometimes people go back way too soon, and sometimes that decision is made financially. Like they
Yes.
need to, maybe they carry the insurance for the family. There are some big decisions that people have to make. They
Hmm.
don't have the luxury to say, well, I just won't go back, or I'll go back part-time. So they have to then communicate, like, this is I'm back here, but asking, we're not making excuses, I always tell people, but asking for some grace. Um, and, oftentimes people will give it.
Well, and Mary Pat wrote too that they had a home business going at the time,
Mhm.
and when her son Ben died, she they had about 150 packages sitting at the house that still had to be sent out. And they
Oh,
still
wow.
had to do that. They had that responsibility. It's not like
Yeah.
they could just get somebody else to do that for them. I mean, they had other
Mhm.
jobs, and those other jobs, they were able to take time off. They took a month off of
Mhm.
work, but that was something that they
Mhm.
couldn't.
Yeah.
And so that just ended up having to keep going. And so that's a good point. I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes it's you need to do it financially. Sometimes
Yeah.
you've made commitments and you have things and they just have to be done. I think of the night and when Andy died, um it obviously Eric and I both took some time off. I took off more time than Eric did, but we were home that next day and Eric had promised to write a letter of recommendation for a medical student to go to residency. I
Mm,
had like 5 office notes that I just hadn't finished from that day before because I had to go pick Andy up from
mm,
from orientation and he was getting out and I couldn't stay and finish and so I had those notes not done. And of course my partners are like, "Don't worry about them." I mean, I don't know how they were
mm,
going to finish them. There's no way they could have finished them, but they were like, I think they could have just left them undone and we just wouldn't charge for
mhm,
them, right? Whatever. I don't know. And could Eric have said to that medical student, "I'm sorry, somebody else has to write your letter of recommendation"? Could have, but we both felt like this responsibility that those are
mm,
some things that we need to do, that we
mhm,
made a commitment to do, that we need to finish. And did it feel weird to have to do that? Yeah, but yet, there's sometimes there are things that you just have to do.
mhm.
Um, I, I don't know, and it's
Yeah.
just if to feel good about yourself or to whatever, you know?
Yes. And we make those decisions, each one's different, right? So
Right.
I was reminded when you said that about, the spur of the moment and someone else taking over the with all the boxes and those things. I was a hospice social worker in a very small team with a hospice nurse, and the hospice nurse got a phone call that her brother died. And I remember saying to her, "I'll take care of your patients." And then I'm like, I'm not a nurse. Okay. I just I can't do that. I just offered, something that I couldn't do. But we were a small hospice. And I remember I went to every one of her patients' homes and I just told them like she wasn't able to be there. What could I do? And I'd call, if someone needed, I'd call for a different nurse, but I just kind of did the best I could. And people were, her patients and families were so kind. But I remember
Yeah.
saying, I'll take care of them. And then I'm like, I can't.
Right.
Just
Right.
offered
Well,
something I
that's yeah,
cannot do.
very similar.
Yeah.
Like all my partners were like, "We'll take care of it." Like,
Yeah.
how exactly are you going to take care of it? You did not
Yeah.
see this patient. You had no idea what happened in the room.
Right.
You really truly cannot do this for me.
Yeah.
But they wanted to, for
Yes.
sure.
Yes, we did. And that people will help out. But when the responsibility is ours, and that's the other thing that I said to you, which we're going to get to in a few people's things, is we have to weigh the consequences sometimes of our decisions. Our decisions to disclose, because we're going to talk about that. How
Yeah.
much do
Yeah.
you talk to people about our decisions of who we trust with things, our decisions of things that really do feel better if we take care of our own responsibilities rather than asking somebody else to do them. It's a constant weighing out of
Yes.
things. Yeah. And I, in the attitude of self-care, I just believe that there are times in life that you just have to stop and
Yeah.
let somebody else take over. We are not all things to all people. And
Right.
there are times in life that your family and what's happening to you demands all your attention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One other tip was Carolyn said, listen to the podcast each week. She even went to the point to say, listening to it on your drive to work, listening to it, I have people who, when they fold their laundry, that's when they listen to the podcast. So when I tell people about the podcast, I said, fold your laundry, put it away while you're listening.
Well, it just makes
So,
you feel a little less alone sometimes, and
yeah.
that can kind of help,
Yeah.
I think, with some of those
Mm-hmm.
trying to normalize things a little bit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, was there anything other tips? I can't remember if there was actual tips.
Well, I mean, I I have a lot of other comments to write about, but I think some of them
Right.
fall better under one of the
I
other
I
questions, to be honest.
agree.
So,
Um,
yeah, go ahead.
so the next question was, how do you balance the daily grind of work and your grief work? And I don't know if anyone addressed that in yours, but again, Dana said, it's like a balance beam. She said, I'm like
Mhm.
walking on a tightrope. When she's at work, it's like she can check the boxes and focus on what the job requires. So it's almost like, and I do think sometimes we have to shut off our grief brain as much as we can to say, I'm at work and I'm going to focus on this, but also Dana is a pediatric oncology nurse, right?
Yeah.
And so her job, she said a couple things. She gets to honor and share about her son, and she occasionally discloses to families about her son and those sorts of things. But we'll talk about disclosure in a little bit. But I just like the fact that she
Yeah. Talked about that balance.
right. Yeah.
Well, and Archie talked about the balance too. Said the balance is tricky between grief and work because I feel like an outsider when people speak about their kids and activities at the start of a meeting or at the water cooler, or she said she'd need to excuse herself or, and go to cry or try to gently navigate the conversation back to work. Because it's hard because you want to hear that other people are having good things happen in their life, but yet it feels like a little twist in the knife, right?
Yeah.
So it's really, really hard to have to witness those conversations,
Oh, absolutely. I think there's so many parts about having to be in the world environment, whether it's work, wherever you go, that you always have to balance the grind of where you're at and your grief, right? You're carrying both of those things. One, before we get to the disclosure, I forgot Lori had said, and Lori had her first son died in 1994 and her second in 2023. She said at the time she had 2 jobs and she has not gone back and she doesn't think she'll ever go back. And so
yeah, I want to touch on that too. I really, really want to touch on that. And that's really falls, I think, in the next question. I feel like there are like 3 big things to talk about with that. I do have Jam wrote in about that balancing again. She said, so she's a labor and delivery nurse. She said balancing the daily grind of work and grief is so tricky because working in labor and delivery, you're asked multiple times a day by patients and their families if you have kids.
Yeah.
And she said, sometimes I answer yes and direct the conversation in a different direction. Other times I talk about Taylor to the person asking if I feel comfortable sharing. So that is a really, really hard. And, I know that too. If you work in pediatrics or obstetrics or something that has to do with kids, people ask you about your kids because I think I don't know if they want to know if you are a reliable source or what, but
if you know what you're talking about,
but it does make that really tricky. And that's going to go into this next conversation we're going to have about disclosure, but also with that balancing, it's not always easy to separate them when people ask you point blank at your place of work about your kids. So
it's interesting because being a grief counselor, if I'm working with a widow, they will ask me, are you married or have you been widowed? They want to know if I'm qualified. And the same thing with people who have had a child now, they'll ask me if I've had children. Have you ever experienced child loss? So, I get asked all the time as well.
Yes, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. And what you do. Yep. Okay. You want to go on to the next question? Because I feel like this is the meatiest one.
Right.
To be honest.
Do your coworkers / boss know the pain you carry? And then the second part of the question was, how much do you disclose?
This was huge.
It was.
This was huge and got the most comments by far. And it led to another thing too on, were you able to go back at all? So I feel like the answer to this question came in 3 parts, really. 1, I went back to work. My colleagues and coworkers know everything. 2, I went back to work, maybe a different job, maybe the same job, whatever. They know nothing. I've kept it totally myself. Or 3, I just can't go back.
Right.
I feel like all of those ended up being answers. And I think all of those are perfectly right and normal, depending on your circumstance.
Right. And speaking of circumstance, Tanya and Trisha both wrote how public their death was. So sometimes even if
Yes.
we decide we would like to just keep it amongst the people who know us, the media, social
Yeah.
media, things get out there and they're very, very public that, the accident, whatever happened was on the news and the whole world knows.
Yes. I mean,
Mhm.
that's me, right? Okay. Now
Right.
it's been close to 8 years. It'll be 8 years in August. At the time, every single one of my patients knew Andy had died. Obviously, all of my coworkers knew Andy died. We were on our way to a work gathering. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knew. 8 years later, as I'm getting new families who
Mm-hmm.
are having new babies, as new nurses are hired, new people, they don't know.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like they need to know,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I mean, I'm not shy about saying that. If you look at my bio, it will say that I have a podcast on child loss. I put that in there so if it's important to people, like for example, I have some patients who came to me when they had their second child after their first child died. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have said to my office manager, I think I should have every one of those patients. I don't think they
Mm-hmm.
should go to another doctor. I think they should
Mm-hmm.
should
Mm-hmm.
be mine. I've had some that have, had very traumatic NICU experiences where you didn't
Mm-hmm.
know what kind of things were going to happen. They picked me because I have gone through that, right? I've
Mm-hmm.
got families that appreciate the fact that I have been through a lot of trauma and that is helpful to them. But I also have lots of patients who have no clue at all, right? They
Mm-hmm.
do not know. And I just don't think now I need to tell them, you
Right.
know?
Yeah, I do. I want to go back to when you said like you think you should have all of those, and that is a beautiful thing for those parents because right away you will bond with them. You walk that road. It puts you on a different level than a doctor who doesn't have that experience that they share.
Yeah.
However, I do think there's probably some listeners that are saying when I keep those people away from me. Like they're
Yeah.
not
Right.
ready to
Right.
jump in and say, yeah, I want to get all of those.
Yes.
Um,
Well, and that's and I say that and I that is true. But yet when I've had patients of mine get in a car accident and I'm supposed to do their follow-up, I like can't do it. I mean, I've had
mhm,
a couple cases where they've scheduled a follow-up visit with me and I that hits too close to home and I can't see
mhm.
their 15-year-olds who survived the car accident because
Right.
mine didn't and I just feel like I'm going to get emotional
Mhm.
and not be able to handle it. So,
Yeah.
there
I'm glad you
are
could say that. Yeah.
there are things that I can handle and there are things that I
Hmm.
can't handle. And
Yep.
and then that's a problem too. When I just talked about how all the young nurses don't know. And so they're the
Yeah.
ones that like schedule these visits with like, oh, maybe not with Dr. Larson.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A few other things about the do your boss know the weight you carry? I'm going to start with one where Robin wrote that her coworkers were fantastic, but her supervisor was not. So
Yes.
she shared how she would forget things. I mean, our normal grief brain kind of things. And she gave the boss permission to tell the clients what she was going through. But the boss chose not to and basically threw under the bus and said, I don't know why she's not following up. And so she was being highly critiqued in that
Yeah.
manner. And when she went to talk with the boss, she said on the day that they talked to her about not having her head in the game, she quit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes that happens. Like you just have to make a decision for my mental health, my emotional health, my well being. I
Hmm.
cannot be in this environment.
Yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I know a woman who has worked at an ER nurse. Her daughter's died. She's not going back. She just
Yeah.
can't,
Yeah.
and that is okay. That is okay. There was certainly a long period of time when I thought I wouldn't be able to go back working as a pediatrician.
Right. I remember.
I was going to say I
Yeah.
knew you then. I mean, I was
Yep.
quite convinced of it that I
You
wouldn't be able
were.
to do it again. Um, I mean, I am, but I didn't think I would, and it's okay if I wouldn't have, right?
Right.
And and I know a lot of people wrote in like, I have somebody wrote in, I was a teacher. I can't do that anymore. So
Mhm.
one of the women wrote she had been a nurse, but now she does home nurse care for critically ill kids. So
Right.
that was doing a totally different job than she'd ever done before.
Hmm.
But honestly, having her daughter kind of wrapped up in it,
Yeah.
right? So
I
changing things.
Yes, I know several moms who had a career that was just a job, and then when their child died, they wanted their job to have meaning, and now they're helping other families. Like, if I have to
Yeah.
work, I want to make an impact. One became a respiratory therapist, so she's in the hospital setting meeting parents
Hmm.
whose kids are critical, and the other one became a nurse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of times things just change and they can't look the same,
Right.
we've talked about the person who wrote in, like, I had two jobs. I have none now. I just
Right.
can't do this right now. And,
Hmm.
and there are different people that are, of course, depending on your financial situation, whether you can do that, whether you can
Hmm.
take a lot of time or you can't take a lot of time.
Hmm. Well, let's go to the fact that there are a lot of people who their job changes in their grief, that not that the grief, I mean, grief is a job. I mean,
Yeah.
it does become a lot of work. But Wendy wrote that they do a fundraiser in honor of her child. They're raising a foundation money for a grief retreat that's very public. That she has to disclose why she's a part of this
Hmm.
foundation and raising the money. But I was thinking that's become her work. I don't know if she has
Yeah.
another job. She didn't really say, and I don't know, Wendy, but um that that's become her job. Just like you mentioned at the beginning, this podcast was not anything in your life
No.
before Andy died, and now it's so much a part of your life.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then the other one that I really wanted to touch on.
Mm-hmm.
So Sheila sent me a beautiful, beautiful voice message that
Mm.
I almost just want to play because it was that good. But it talked about, for her, what worked best was so financially, she needed to go back to work. She was able to take off, I
Mm-hmm.
think, 2 months, but she had to go back. And she very specifically chose not to disclose anything. She was in a very large company.
Mm-hmm.
She was gone, and her son didn't die in the same town, so I think it was easier for people to not know, right? It's not like on the
Mm-hmm.
news or whatever. So she made this very conscious decision not to tell people because it was so much easier for her to be at work and not have people talk about it, right?
Right.
She could focus on the work and really be able to take a break from the grief. I think so much of
Mm-hmm.
my therapist, Nancy, would talk about all the time about how we would be talking about things in therapy. And she would say, okay, now we're going to wrap this all up in a box and you're going to stick it up on a shelf and you're not going to take it down until we've got time to take it down and talk about it
Mm-hmm.
together. Right. So I feel like for Sheila, work became a place where she could set aside her grief for a few hours
Absolutely.
and really focus on, I'm going to just do my job and do my work. So she
Right.
talked about how weekends became very, very challenging. But again, that's then her time set aside more to deal with her grief. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
very hard.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, I had so many people write in and talk about their amazing co-workers, sometimes their amazing boss. Everybody knows everything.
A
But
lot.
this was so beautifully written to talk about, in some circumstances, it was better to not, to
Yes.
just have some safety in that, you know?
Yes. Well, Dixie wrote on our Facebook, her response was, I don't think they know the pain I carry. I disclose to a few people how hard it is, and my sadness. Most of the time I put on a face. And
Yeah.
sometimes we do have to make that choice to say here. And there is a vulnerability in connecting to you, telling someone who you are. And sometimes if it's not a safe place, it's okay to say, this is just my job.
Yep.
I have other safe places that I can talk to about this.
Yes.
And that's
And I
not
feel
it.
like with Sheila, I consider Sheila a friend. We have a
Yeah,
group kind of friends, and I feel like we are her safe place.
right.
So she does not need to have
To have
work
it
be a
at
safe
work.
place.
Right.
She does not need to have it there.
Yep.
So it, I just, I just really wanted to focus on that because I feel like sometimes people think everybody needs to know
Mm-hmm.
and you need to like fully disclose all of your stuff
Mm-hmm.
that you have going
Yeah.
on, but you
Yeah.
really don't. You
No.
really don't.
No.
And depending on what your job is, what your personality is,
Hmm.
and all of these factors, it can really decide which way that you want to, that you should
Right.
go with it.
Well, and we've talked about this before. Some stories have so many layers. They have the loss, but then they have these other layers too. And some of those we really have to guard. It's not so much the fact that that person died that we're guarding or keeping that the secret, but all the other things that
Yeah.
you might be going through. And again, I think sometimes when it is public or there's legal things involved or there's so much media attention, sometimes families retreat and decide not to disclose because it's they can't. They
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
protect,
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
themselves and their
Yep.
families.
For
And
sure.
yeah,
For
so
sure. So there
everyone
are
needs
different
to make
reasons.
that
And I think with
decision. Yeah.
that, if you feel like now, I mean, for example, I'm going to use me as an example again. I went back to work. Everybody gives me the sad face, the puppy dog eyes, I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry. And I cried between every patient because every patient looked at me that way. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And, and now I have a lot of patients that don't know, so they don't and they don't tend to look at me that way now because I'm this many years out. But
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like it just can be so much safer. So that's again back to if you keep that in and now people aren't looking at you with the sympathy because
Mm-hmm.
if your heart's fragile and every time somebody gives you that sympathy look, you're going to break down and cry. Well, you're not going to probably
Mm-hmm.
do a very good job at your job.
Right. Right.
and
Yeah.
and that if you take pride, if you're a person that really takes pride in their job and takes pride in their work, now you're feeling cruddy about yourself because you feel like you're not doing a good job. So
Yes.
i I mean that just ended up being really touched me and made me think,
Mm-hmm.
and I just want to make such a point of it, um because I do think I think people can feel like, oh, why or aren't you telling everybody? Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It we don't tell if you have marriage problems, financial problems, we just don't tell everyone. Now, I'm
Yeah.
probably going to get in some type of trouble because now it's out there that my mom's in hospice and someone who considers me a close friend, who is a close friend, I haven't even told yet. So they're,
Right.
like, how did you decide to
So
disclose that? Um,
sorry, Gwen, but
no, that's,
but
but
we
see
did
what I'm
make the
saying?
decision that we were
Right.
going to disclose
No, I
this.
know
Like,
that, but see what I'm saying? Like sometimes
yes.
that disclosure becomes,
Why didn't
people
you tell
right,
me? Right.
yes, and it's like I just haven't, I wasn't hiding it.
Yeah.
It just hadn't. I mean, I
That
wouldn't have
happened to
told
Eric
you had you
recently.
not called me.
That happened to Eric recently because we bought this property and we were going to build a new house.
Right,
We
I
had the new
remember.
house written, or we had the house plans. We actually, the week before Andy died, it was cleared, and the basement was supposed to be dug the week Andy died, but they couldn't do it, so they put it off to the next Monday. Andy died on Wednesday. We canceled the whole thing. Right? We're
Mm-hmm.
not. We can't build that house with the boys' bedrooms with the bath between, and I mean it. We just couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
So that land has sat for these 8 years. We've done nothing. And I haven't had the heart to sell it. Eric's kind of wanted to sell it. I haven't really wanted to sell it because I keep thinking maybe someday we will still do something smaller, whatever. Um, Eric was talking, somehow it came up that he had this land because we occasionally let people kind of hunt on it. It's it's
Mm-hmm.
it's not a lot of land. It's only like 3 acres or something. Um but it came up and one of the nurses that Eric's working with is interested in buying it. Well, he didn't know the story behind why we didn't build the house.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, that came up why we didn't have build the house because our son died 8 years ago and he had not known. And he's been working with Eric for the last few years. And then he sent like this email that he felt so bad that he didn't know. But
Mm-hmm.
again, there was really not a time or reason to disclose that to him,
Right.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a moment by moment, situation by situation decision where you decide. Because one of the people said in your thing, was it Chrissy? I can't remember who said sometimes if someone asks how many kids you have, you don't even answer. You don't
Yeah,
say,
right.
you just make a choice not to.
Yeah, right, right.
Mhm.
And I do that. I do that all the
Yeah.
time.
Hmm.
Whether what I say, what I do, it's just whether I want to go there, whether I feel like they deserve it, whether I mean, there are just tons of
Yeah.
circumstances. Not that I am ashamed of Andy or I don't want to talk about Andy or anything like that. It's just like
Mhm.
sometimes I want to bring it up, sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and you have to set it down. It's that dosing ourselves. Like we're not meant to take this on 24/7 all the time. Sometimes, we have to just dose it and set it down and say, I'm not taking a dose of that right now.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
So,
Well, I don't know. I mean, we're going to make this a little bit shorter than we normally
yeah.
do too, just because, just
Yes,
because
we
we
are.
can.
We're being nice to
So,
ourselves.
because we're being nice to ourselves. Yes. That's right. I do want to announce so the
Oh,
next kind of live stream sort of that we were going to do was also is also probably not going to be a live stream. Just so
okay.
you know. So Chrissy, who I've talked about now, this is now the third time, who is sponsoring the episode for Caleb's birthday. So the next time we would be scheduled to do
Mm-hmm.
a podcast is the week of Andy's death.
Mm-hmm.
It is also the week of Caleb's death.
Mm.
And Chrissy and I thought that it would be a nice thing, maybe, for us to do one together, similar to the one I did with Jam, that was on the week of Andy's birthday, also the week of the
Mm-hmm.
anniversary of Taylor's death, to just kind of do one together. She was my first, very, very first podcast, Apple podcast comment way, way back
Mm.
because Caleb died really within days of me releasing my first episode. So
Mm.
so I she started listening to me very, very early on, and we've become friends. And obviously she's just exactly a year and I mean a couple days shy of a year
Mm-hmm.
different than me. So we kind of have been going through this stuff together, and so we thought it would be good for us to kind of do one honoring our boys with you
Mm-hmm.
and having you talk about it and interview us a little bit about what these 7 and 8 years have been like. Chrissy's doing a lot of things
Mm-hmm.
with a nonprofit and working hard in Caleb's name and amazing things he'd be proud of. But when asking her if she wanted to do this as a live stream or recorded, she definitely said recorded, which
Oh,
I
okay.
I which honestly I sort of agree to. It's an emotional week for us. It will be an emotional time. I think it will work out better if we just plan a time and have you just do an interview for us. So
Right.
that's going to be our next episode with Gwen. So if you've been missing us doing live streams, you're going to have to miss a few more weeks, but come fall, we'll start them up again. And I think we are going to try for Sunday nights instead of Monday nights moving forward. But again, that probably will be 12 weeks from now. So a bit down the road.
Yeah. I'm excited about that. And I think it's good. And I was reminded of it again tonight that we don't stay in the same place. And
Yeah.
you can just say, like, this is how it was when I first went back to work. This is how it is now. Some of my coworkers don't know. You took the year off. I mean, you've done a lot of different things in the
Yeah.
span of your grief and working. Um,
Yeah.
so
And
I,
for a while I just did administrative work. I didn't see patients at
mhm,
all. And
yeah,
I did that. And then I couldn't do administrative work because then administrative work felt like pointless to me. And I only
yeah,
wanted to see patients. I didn't want to do that. So things change a lot.
yeah,
Like I went from I'll never see patients again. I'm only going to do administrative to like 9 months after that going, okay, I can do administrative. I can only see patients. So, it's just I think it's
Yeah.
hard to know. It's hard to know what
Um,
things are going to be like work wise.
It is. Yeah. And you just, again, have to go with the flow and be flexible, just like we were in filming this and how to do this. It's the same thing for ourselves. We have to, there's no right answer, one size fits all. One of the things I was going to say before we closed is there were a lot of people who said their coworkers allow them,
Yes.
to be what they need to be. And I was thinking, if you have those type of coworkers, celebrate them. Like
Yeah.
bring in donuts tomorrow. So I was looking like, what is June 30th, which is, or no, oh, after they listen to this, it won't be June 30th. It'll be August, what?
Second.
August
August
2nd.
2nd.
So I didn't know like if it was National Donut Day or whatever that you could say, hey, I'm going to see if August 2nd has any, I don't know how to find these out, but I'm looking.
Well, I can tell you what August 2nd is if you don't remember. Do you know what you remember what August, or not August 2nd, July 2nd is?
What's
July 2nd? July 2nd is the anniversary of Kian's death, our friend Stephanie's daughter.
Oh,
And
okay.
I would say for me, every year on July 2nd, I eat ice cream because I eat ice cream for
honor
Kian.
of her, because she asked you to do that.
She asked me to do that years ago. I still do it every year. I have ice cream for Kian. So
that's awesome.
As this is getting released on Kian's birthday, if you get some ice cream or whatever,
but
or not her
July 2nd,
not her birthday. It's the anniversary of her death. Sorry,
and but it won't be July 2nd. You keep saying July 2nd.
July 2nd. Yeah, that's when this one will be released. July 2nd.
July. Yes.
July 2nd will be the release of this one.
Oh, that's perfect then. Okay.
I know.
Perfect.
So bring people ice cream.
Yes. And say all this stuff, like just thanking people for getting it right. The people who do, because we need people like that in the world, and they're not going to know that they got it right unless we tell them, and we want them to keep doing that. We have to reinforce the good behavior, because many times we can focus on the things that were done to us. I mean, the not so nice coworker that some of your listeners have experienced, that kind of thing. We can kind of focus in on that. And those are hard things, and that's why we do. But there's a lot of good too, so we want to celebrate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay,
for sure.
I will.
Well, thank you so much for being flexible with me.
No problem.
And
take care of yourself.
Obviously, yes. And take care of yourself and take care of your family. So, all right. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks for listening. If you found this helpful and would like to support the podcast, please leave a 5-star rating and comment. To help financially, you can type Andy's Mom, one word, to the number 53555. This provides a link to GiveButter, which allows donations through PayPal, Venmo, Apple Pay, or credit cards. GiveButter will provide a receipt of your tax-deductible donation. Or you can visit the donation page at andysmom.com/donate. Always Andy's Mom is a registered 501c3 and can receive donations through Thrivent Financial and Benevity. Marcy loves hearing from listeners. Please feel free to reach out to her via email at marcy@andysmom.com or on the Instagram or Facebook Always Andy's Mom accounts. Sign up for the email list to get weekly episode links as well as pictures of Marcy's guests and their children. Together, let's work to inspire hope, one day at a time.